You ever wake up thinking you finally made it, only to realize you just stepped into a hornet's nest? That was me, standing in my yard, paintbrush in hand, when two men marched up and shoved an official-looking document in my face. Tear down everything you built, it said. My crime? Painting my little $45,000 cabin restoration vintage blue. Wrong shade, apparently. That was the shot across the bow. I had no idea that simple decision was about to turn my so-called dream into a nightmare, complete with sabotage, threats, and a suburban dictator named Chloe Thompson who'd do anything, to keep her claws sunk deep into this neighborhood. See, 2 days earlier, I was rolling blue paint over tired old cedar siding, feeling the weight of years slip off with every stroke. Sunlight cut through the oak trees, shadows dancing on the porch as I worked. This was supposed to be my fresh start. No cookie-cutter subdivisions, just a neighborhood with real character and old maples that cooled your whole house for free. My cabin wasn't big. 800 square feet, 70s bones, hand-hewn beams, original hardwood under ratty carpet, windows catching the sunrise and sunset. It felt like a place you could finally breathe. Across the street, a palace. Chloe's place. For 1,000 square feet. Neo-colonial. Every hedge squared off by landscapers. Sprinkler hissing at 6 a.m. sharp. Like clockwork. Her world was symmetry and rules. Mine was, well, real. But if you think money's the only thing that sets people apart out here, you've never tangled with someone who thinks their name on a mailbox gives them divine right over your entire existence. So there I am, wiping paint off my hands, when Chloe herself struts over, heels clicking, folder clutched like a weapon, eyes scanning my porch as if she's already pricing it out for demolition. We need to discuss your color choice, she says, voice dripping with the kind of forced politeness you get from someone who's used to closing deals, not making friends. I told her straight. I never saw a word about paint colors in any CC and RS. That caught her off guard, but not for long. She flips through her folder, real. Efficient, but when she hands me that guideline, it's suspiciously thin on details. Right then, I spot a black SUV across the street, engine running, someone inside snapping photos. I'm thinking paranoid. Maybe. But the game felt rigged, and I'd only just started playing. Next morning, while she's still on about community standards, I notice my electrical inspection stickers. Upside down, completely rotated. If you know inspectors, you know that never happens by accident. Chalk marks on my sidewalk. New, like someone's mapped my property. That wasn't there when I left for the hardware store. And now there's blue paint on her glove, right where she'd grabbed my still tacky gate. She backs off, talking on her phone about escalating things, says I'll be getting a visit from their compliance contractors soon. I start documenting everything. Photos, timestamps, every detail. My brain screaming. This is more than a nosy neighbor. This is surveillance. Sabotage, psychological warfare. Sleep? Forget it. At 3 a.m., I hear footsteps on the roof. Heavy, methodical, definitely human. Someone's up there, flashlight sweeping my gutters. I flick on the porch. Light, and catch a shadow. They vanish, but when the sun comes up, I find 12 bolts on my metal roof loosened just enough that the next windstorm would rip it apart. Fresh tool marks. Scuffs. No animal did this. Like clockwork, a contractor shows up at dawn. Big guy, nervous, clipboard trembling. Jake Morrison, compliance inspector. Reads me some legalese about unauthorized modifications, but he's sweating bullets. Turns out, Jake's not some HOA enforcer. He's just a guy in a bind, hired under the table, reading a script Chloe wrote. The forms he carries? Most are blank. He won't sign anything, can barely look me in the eye. Then Chloe reappears, dressed for war, marker in hand, and, get this, writes violation in huge letters on my living room window. 72 hours to comply or face enforcement. It's vandalism, pure and simple. I record everything. Jake snaps his own pics, mumbling that this isn't standard procedure. Across the street, an elderly woman waves me over, Dorothy Williams. You need to know some things before that 72-hour clock runs out, she says. Coffee at her place is the first genuine hospitality I get in this so-called community. Dorothy tells me Chloe's not just playing HOA queen for kicks. She's a desperate real estate agent with 3 houses to sell before her divorce settlement wipes her out. My non-compliant blue cabin threatens her prices, so she's on a rampage to control every blade of grass. Jake, she explains, is trapped. Medical bills, wife out of work, drowning in debt. Forced to play enforcer for a few dirty dollars. The guilt's eating him alive. Armed with this, I fortify my house. Cameras, lights, cloud backups. Good thing, too, because that night someone cuts my irrigation wiring, disables my security feed, leaves a smear on the doorframe for me to find. The message is clear. We're watching, and we want you gone. Next day, it escalates again, a gallon of primer poured down my siding, tiny footprints tracking across the yard, then scratches on the back wall, deep and deliberate, out of sight from the street. Utility workers, real or not, show up, tamper with my meter. No ticket, no work order, just a flicker in the lights and a text from Mrs. Patterson with a porch cam clip. 2 guys laughing as they leave. Dorothy meets me in secret, drops the bomb. Chloe isn't even the real HOA president. The last legit one moved to Florida. Chloe just started issuing fake fines and orders. Dorothy's got proof, meeting minutes, membership lists. Half the neighbors never even joined the association. Everything Chloe's doing is a bluff, but she's counting on people being too afraid, too isolated, to call her on it. I confront Chloe with this, and her mask cracks. Rage flashes behind her eyes. Then she hisses that Dorothy needs to mind her business before something unfortunate happens. Not even subtle. That evening, I see Dorothy walking her usual route. Chloe intercepts her, and Dorothy hits the pavement hard. Ambulance comes. Chloe tells cops Dorothy fell while observing your house. But after Dorothy wakes up, the accidents wiped her short-term memory. The one person who could blow Chloe's story apart is silent. Chloe cranks up the pressure, calls my insurance, accuses me of fraud. Suddenly, I'm on the hook for water damage repairs I didn't cause. My mailbox gets smashed, and neighbors are whispering about my unstable behavior. Someone calls and warns me to stop digging, or else. Sleep? That's history. Every creak of the house feels like a warning. Jake finally reaches out, meets me at a truck stop. He brings evidence, photos, voice memos, proof Chloe paid him to sabotage my property. She's running an intimidation racket, not a neighborhood association. But now we're both being tailed. Jake's terrified, says Chloe hired real criminals to keep people in line. We go public, show neighbors the real HOA documents, fake inspection forms, photos of cash payments. Some are furious, some are scared, but the truth spreads fast. Chloe calls an emergency meeting, fires up the live stream, paints me as a deranged, dangerous neighbor. Jake steps up and calmly reveals her entire scam, point by point. People finally see what's been happening. Chloe's only authority was their fear. Her meltdown is glorious, screaming about destroying property values, calling everyone idiots. Dorothy, memory slowly returning, stands up and tells Chloe she's a fraud, a bully, and no longer welcome. Chloe storms out, tries one last act of vengeance, douses my porch in gasoline, lighter in hand, raving that if she can't sell, nobody gets to stay. Cops and fire. Trucks catch her in the act. That was the end of her suburban reign. Within weeks, Chloe's license is gone, her reputation ruined. She's forced to sell her houses at a loss, and Dorothy, who finally recovers, becomes the true heart of the neighborhood, guiding us back to sanity and actual community. Jake's family gets back on their feet. My vintage blue cabin stands proud, symbolizing the right to be yourself without some phony authority breathing down your neck. And the next time you hear someone threaten you with official policy, remember this. Always ask for credentials. Document everything and never fight alone. That's how you beat a bully, no matter how big her house or fancy her folder. What do you think Dorothy was about to reveal when the lights went out? Ever tangled with fake authority like Chloe? Drop your story below. I know I'm not the only one who's been through suburban hell and come out the other side. Your turn. Let's talk about what justice really means in places like this.